What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of That Scuffed Up. Episode 20, our 20th episode has finally arrived, but it is week 2 of the fall 2023 season. Here today, Justin Lee and Stephen Hayden coming right at you with the 20th edition of this podcast. Stephen Hayden with the Wiffle God t-shirt. How are we doing today, my friend?
Who would have thought we would have lasted this long? It's been good to be here. Did 20 episodes already. We started this right near the end of the spring 2023 season. We kept going, finishing up through that World Series. Had our first couple guests on with Anthony and Jordan after winning the World Series. And carried all the way through the summer. Was able to get guests on through there, and now we're still going through the fall, still up 20 episodes strong. Not recording for every single week. We've had some breaks here and there, but we've been going pretty good here. It's been pretty good so far. I'm looking forward to things. A lot has changed in the past week, so especially for the standings. So just get into it and just talk about some previous stuff and some stuff to look forward to.
Biggest thing about this show is, talking about wiffle ball. It doesn't attract a huge audience, but we attract, the audience of all the players that participate in this league, this is the platform where we get to share all of those stories. So it's been a pleasure to be able to share a lot of these big stories that are relating to OC wiffle ball and beyond for about 20 episodes now. Today, a lot of new announcements in the sports world and wiffle ball as well. LLWS, the Little League World Series, has finally finished in what was a very, very great game to watch if you were catching that. On the other side, the Rugby World Cup is coming to France as well. That's coming up. Football season is right around the corner, and baseball season is just kicking into high gear towards the playoff push. So a lot of great things going on in the sports world. FIBA World Cup for basketball has also just started, so we're right on the cusp of so many different things that, if you're a sports person like myself, then you're really interested in investing in all that stuff. Especially, if you're going back to school, good luck to everybody who's heading back to school, hitting the buses, hitting the classrooms, and getting to those textbooks. Make sure you guys get some straight A's or whatever you feel like is okay with. But a lot of things going on in our world today, and we're gonna bring.
Please don't hit any buses.
Don't like Steven said, don't hit any buses. And but yeah, a lot of things going on in the sports world, and we got a lot of things going on here at Wiffle Ball as well. Summer awards to be announced on week 4 once we get back to the Great Park. This is week 3 coming up here very soon. The last week we will be playing at Huntington Sports Complex, and we will return to our a great field at the Great Sports Park in Irvine. We won't have to. It'll be regular grass from now on after this third week instead of using a little soccer turf field. But it's been pretty. We've been pretty fortunate enough to get a field like this. There were some issues getting the Great Park fields for a little bit, so Anthony was able to secure this spot and get these games to remain going instead of pushing the season a little further, which also allowed us to, have this winter season that's coming up eventually. And then everything else, we got a lot of other big news to talk about. Obviously, we have week 2 results that are in the books here that we're going to discuss in just a bit. We're going to go over every single one of those things, but we did get a little glimpse of last week when we had Dustin on the show about the OC Summer Classic. We didn't have a chance to talk about that a little bit. I wanted to get some of the thoughts and reactions, especially from the man who ran the team that ultimately won the first inaugural OC Summer Classic, with the LA Wolves of OC taking the victory with a new brand of guys on that squad, some guest players as well. And it turned out to be a very, very good game. We had one of our bigger moments in that tournament as well towards the very end that turned out to be very important. But let's talk about that a little bit. Steven, I wanted to get some of your thoughts about that. If you want to talk about the first game of playing as we were the top seed, and then getting to the championship game.
Yeah, we can start. We talked about the previous pool play games in the past, how they all went, and how the seedings were established. So you had LA Wiffles of OC or OC Wiffle Ball that were the 1 seed. You had MS Warriors and the 2 seeds. So both those teams got the buys. And the 3 seed, the OC Smash for the 3 seed. You had the Wiffle D's with the 4 seed, OC Seals with the 5 seed, and Tiger Town Batters were the 6 seed. So the wild card round, you start off with the 3 taking on the 6, and the 4 taking on the 5. And the 3-6 game, a very high scoring game between OC Smash and Tiger Town Batters. I kept losing track during the middle of it with what the score was, but there was a lot of scoring going on. OC Smash ended up eventually settling down the pitching, and it kind of ended up coming out with a victory. Don't know the exact score, but it was a very high scoring game. And on the other side, you had the OC Seals upsetting Wiffle D's. Actually, you predicted both of these wildcard games correctly, and I got both of these incorrect. I had the other 2 teams winning. OC Seals beat Wiffle D's in a much closer game. I think this might have been like a 3-1 or 3-2 game, something along those lines. A very, very close battle between these teams. Game was moving along very, very quickly as well. Both pitchers are doing very well. A couple home runs from each team, 1 or 2 home runs from each team was really the difference. And the OCCs ended up coming out on top. They ended up moving on to the semifinals. As did the OC Smash, where we get to our semifinals matchup. That was kind of the gist for the wild card. I know you weren't there for the wild card round, Justin. Once you got there and you saw we were playing when you saw the Seals and the Smash, what were your what did it change any of your mind? Because those were your predictions for moving on to the semifinals. That changed your mind at all for who would possibly move on to that final?
From a perception standpoint, I did have basically the top 2 teams moving on to the championship game, which was the top seeded teams, which was our team, and then the Hoffman brothers and Hendrickson's team, who were on the other side with the 2 seed. Kind of obviously, predicting those was a little bit expected. So, and I understood that OC Seals have a better roster per se with the type of talent that they have in the background, and nearly beating us in some of the pool play games when they ran away with it towards the very last inning against Dustin Staggs when he was pitching, but we ultimately got the win in that game, but to a cost of a lot of runs being allowed by the defense and the pitching as well. But through a perception standpoint, it didn't really change my thoughts about these teams at all. I would think maybe there would be some adjustments made by each team that made it that far, especially OC Seals being the ones that kind of were fighting back and with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder to like say, hey, we're good. We nearly beat these guys before. We can come back here and we get the rematch and try to take it from them as well. But I think with the addition of you returning, which was another missing piece that we had in the pool play, I think that kind of kept my prediction solid in my head. I was like thinking of that, we get our top guy back, so it's going to be a bigger challenge for them to be able to go through that. Whereas you had the pool play where it was a different odds, different stage, and obviously the absence of your pitching was a big part of the reason for that. So it didn't really change too much for me, but I want to say it kind of remained the same, after seeing those teams play.
Gotcha. Yeah, you predicted these teams to go through. You predicted this Final Four, and so you had OC Wiffle taking on the OC Seals, and you had the MS Warriors taking on the OC Smash. First, talk about the MS Warriors taking on the OC Smash. Not exactly sure on the score. I believe it was a close game through the beginning, especially, and eventually MS Warriors started to break away a little bit. Still, relatively close game. MS Warriors, they just have the experience. They have the guys to come out on top. That day, they just had 4 guys. It was Dylan Hoffman, Drake Hoffman, and then True and Shaden Hendrickson. That's a very scary lineup. Those 4 coming together, as I can attest to in the championship game. But so it's a very scary thing to go through, and I was nervous for that final game. But first, we had to get through our game ourselves.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a nightmare of a roster, with all four of them on there. It was just like something we would hope to not see in a regular season too. So, yeah, that's definitely a scary recipe to work with.
Yeah, I'd say yeah. But we in order to get there, we had to win our game first. Taking on the OCC. It was just coming off a win, our first game of the day, and who knows what could have happened, but. It was a relatively close game, especially through the first 4 innings. It was the fourth or fifth inning. Things started to break open. We scored 7 runs in an inning, broke it open to 9-1. They scored one more run, and in the top of the sixth to make it a 9-2 ball game. But that's where things shut down. I came in relief of Jordan, Jordan didn't pitch very well in the sixth inning, but I'm going to put more of that on me. I didn't give him a lot of time to really get ready. I don't think he was really expecting to pitch. But I gotta do better with kind of getting him ready and stuff. But I came in, shut the door, and we ended up winning that one 9-2, setting up a 1-2 matchup versus the MS Warriors, which we'll get into in just a second. But that was a great game. But I want to say thank you to these other 4 teams coming out each week. Giving up 3 Sundays, especially that morning to early afternoon, is not an easy thing. Some people some guys like me or like Dustin are used to doing this all the time, where you're giving up your full Saturday or Sunday or things like that. Especially Dustin, because he runs a lot of tournaments and things like that. But we appreciate you guys. We appreciate everybody coming out to this tournament and making it what it is. We're trying to experiment with different stuff, different rules. We think things went well once everything got understood, but finally we get to that championship game. And I can let you start on that since you were in that game if you want to.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I want to highlight the day overall just a little bit before I talked about the championship game a bit. I thought it was a very clean day in terms of how the rules were interpreted. I think we definitely there was a discussion of needing to clean those up a little bit so we don't have those kind of issues coming about while the games were being played. So props to everybody for dialing in and really focusing on what the rules were meant to be throughout that tournament. And it seemed like for most of the day we didn't have any issues, so to speak, that we had like with the the pool play games and everything like that. It seemed like every single game was pretty clean cut and fair in all aspects of it as well, and didn't seem like there was any misinterpretations or mishaps with what was happening out there. So it was a pretty clean day in its entirety with all the rules being played out and everything like that. So it was awesome to be able to experiment with those rules and actually see it kind of work out 100% for most of the day. So but without further ado, we'll talk about the championship game a little bit. It was a big one, rematch against the team that we did defeat in the pool play as well in a very close game. So it's kind of expected for this game to be extremely close, which it was throughout the first 4 innings. As it was, it was definitely a pitching duel and whatnot. I do want to say Jordan Drexler had a hell of a day in this game. Didn't get a single out in any of his at-bats. He basically had a hit in every single AB that he had. The biggest moment of the day was when Chris Lee came in and hit a 3-run bomb, which ultimately put us as the go-ahead. It served as the go-ahead runs with his 3-run home run and put us up in front, and that would basically be kind of the nail in the coffin in this game. But those are kind of the highlights I wanted to mark up for that game. I know you may have a little bit more detail about that than I do, so I'll send it back to you on what you thought about that game overall as well.
Yeah, I can give more of a recap of the full game, especially the people who weren't there. I know a lot of people in the league weren't there. First inning, I started as the 1 seed. OC Wiff was the home team, so I started on the mound. The MS Warriors were seeing me very well. The first three guys that got up to the plate all got hits, ended up bringing 2 runs in the top of the first inning. which not the best start for me. They were kind of amazed at some of the pitches I was throwing, how I was keeping them under the speed limits. That's my own secrets, and I have my ways of doing that. That won't be shown, but they were trailing 2-0, bottom of the first inning. Dustin leads off the game with a single, and I follow up behind him with a 2-run homer. Right away, we're getting back into it. Jordan with a triple, Justin with a single, or Chris with a single, I should say, and off of Hayden. Shane faced the first 4 batters, didn't record an out, and got taken out for True, who then came in. One more run did come across the plate there, making it 3-2 going into the second inning. So right away, it was a quick starter for the bats. Top of the second inning, they continued to roll with the bats. They scored 3 more runs, making it a 5-3 ball game going into the bottom of the second inning. And after that point, it kind of started to become more of a battle, just trying to get some runs across. So I let off the third inning, or it was the third inning with a solo home run, making it a 5-4 game. And then the fourth inning, I believe it might have been 2 outs, 2 runners on. Chris Lee hits a line drive over center field, just over the outstretched arms of Drake Hoffman for a home run, making it a 7-4 ball game. Late in the bottom of the 5th inning, Jordan Drescher also tacks on another run to make it an 8-5 ball game. And because once the third inning came around, I kind of knew that they were seeing me very well, because these are some of the better players in the league. You have multiple time MVP winner in True Hendrickson, multiple time Cy Young winner in Dylan Hoffman. Drake Hoffman has got some power in him. And then Shaden Hendrickson, just an all-around great player. Didn't have the best pitching in that game, but hitting-wise, he was very good and seeing the ball very well. But once we got to the third inning, it really became the Dustin Staggs show on the mound. He shut out the MS Warriors for the last 4 innings. Might have had like 9 or 10 strikeouts, maybe allowed 1 hit. I had a couple ground balls in the field that were made plays on. Had plays on. But really, it kind of turned into the Dustin Staggs show at the end with 4 innings, 0 runs, and as Lobos of OC or OC Wiffle Ball, they hold on to an 8-5 victory to win this first inaugural tournament. The team that won it consisted of me, Justin Lee, Jordan Dreschler, Dustin Staggs, Chris Lee, and Ethan Lee. All of which, except for Chris Lee, are playing within our two teams in the league right now. So congrats to those guys. So I'm glad everything was able to work out for these guys. But what a game in the final it was! A lot of comebacks. Each team was battling for every run. But at the end of the day, OC ended up coming out on top. Who was overall for this tournament? You see often with these types of tournaments, you see like an MVP or things like that. Who was kind of your guy that you thought really set himself out from the others in this, not just in the final, but in this tournament overall for you?
That's a great question, and it's kind of split, with the multiple different days that we had, for sure. Obviously your absence was, the kind of the big moment for a lot of guys in there to say, hey, we got some, guys in here who are maybe unproven in, OC football rules, and this was their chance to be able to prove themselves, in those, bigger moments. And if I had to choose one for the championship game, I would probably say it's either between, Jordan or Steven on the pitching side of things, or Christopher's very clutch home run towards the end there. But I thought it was a big team effort in that championship game, so it's kind of hard for me to pin somebody in there. I want to say Dustin is kind of really started showing out with the, his pitching style is, not seen so much in this league, and his style is a lot different than what everybody else sees that we typically have come to know in Orange County Wiffle Ball, which is using a cleaner ball. And I think that's one of the aspects that has kind of been a struggle for some of our new guys, especially being able to adjust to that. But some guys have been able to adjust better to others. But Dustin, not just with the pitching side of things too, the bat also was looking pretty solid for him as well. In some of those moments where we definitely needed him, the guy that for me kind of was like the under the the dark horse choice per se would have been Chris Lee. The second day we had pool play, we threw him in there for relief pitching right after Dustin had pitched against Wiffle in that first game, and he did a fantastic job, striking out multiple different guys and keeping them to basically no hits actually in 2 innings span that he pitched. And then he had so many other clutch moments. I do recall him having a grand slam in the game against the OC Seals in pool play, and then obviously his clutch home run in the championship game, and then a multitude of other hits that he had throughout the other days as well. And I don't think that was appreciated enough for how well of a talent that he is. Obviously he's a guy that has a baseball background, and a guy I knew and obviously he's my brother, so I understand that he knows how to use a wiffle ball and adjust to it a lot faster than other people do. So I thought he did a very good job. So that was he's kind of the guy for me that was like man, he actually did a pretty good job adjusting to all the rules and using different scuff balls, and then also switching to a non-yellow skinny bat that we typically are used to using. So I thought he did a really good job overall throughout much of the tournament.
Hey, you speak of adjusting. We had one thing that I've come to really appreciate about Dustin is his willingness to adjust to other rules and to be open to new styles of play. This especially this one with a much lower speed limit than he's used to, and some other different rules. But I thought he was great the whole tournament. Coming in here as a guy, not really many people had knew too much about him. They had heard that he runs this wiffle ball league in Fulton. They kind of heard it through me, just kind of mentioning it out there and me putting some of the posts up, and then people see in the league and they talk to me about it and things like that. People got to see him out here for the first time, and I think it was a big difference maker for us. Really getting us another solid arm in there, as well as being that leadoff hitter, which I'm looking forward to him being out there when it comes to the regular season. He hasn't been out for the first 2 weeks, but it's looking pretty likely with our later time slot for week 3 that he'll be out there for the first time, which I'm very much looking forward to. One underrated. I would look to him to possibly be the MVP overall of the tournament. You could give it to me, but I did miss that second week, and we did go 2-0 in that second week of pool play. In that final game, I think he was clearly the MVP of that. Really kept us in that game. You have 4 innings, don't allow a single run versus a team that's been extremely hot. It was getting 5 runs off me in 2 innings, which two of those runs should not have happened. In the second inning, we had 2 outs. It was 3-0 at that point, and there's a ground ball to Chris Lee. Chris Lee misses the screen when he's trying to throw it to the backstop, and end up causing 2 more runs to walk the next guy after that. But for me, Dustin Staggs was kind of the MVP of that final game as well, including his contributions to the plate. An underrated guy I'd say to put in there would be from the OC Seals would be Zach Ireland. Big time baseball player. I can't remember where he's committed to, but he was great. He was great in the tournament. Really learning how to adjust to these rules, and it was great against us. In the semifinal game, and it was great in the wild card round versus Wiffle D's, really keeping him off balance and not sure if he allowed a single run against them. But those would be kind of my guys I would look to. I mean, that Homeless Warriors team is very good. You could put them in there. You could put a guy like me in there. The guy we both predicted. I've predicted that will be the summer 2023 MVP. But for me, I'm going to look at a guy like Dustin for that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think his the way he managed himself in a lot of those games, he kind of really did a fantastic job adjusting to the rules, and obviously he was our big guy for bringing all the gear out every single week, and making that available to us to use for the tournament. So thank you to Dustin again for being on the show last week and also bringing out all of the the gear that we needed to operate this tournament properly. For you as a manager and owner of the LA Wiffles OC, being able to win a tournament like this, especially the first of its kind in OC wiffle ball history, do you consider this one of the bigger achievements for yourself and this team?
Yeah, let me go back to Dustin for a second. I just want to say we appreciate what he does. I'm glad to have him on the team. Actually, I didn't find out till it was like 2 days before that final when we won the tournament that he was going to be playing with us. Kind of came out of the blue. I didn't know what his schedule was like. I didn't want to bother him with it, but then we were putting up the post about we need guys, and he's like, "Yo, I want to come play." I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll gladly take you." End up shifting our teams around a little bit, which we'll get to a little more later as we go on. But for me, the regular season one's always cool. I think getting a tournament, especially being that first one, is pretty cool in its own in its own way. This one's a little bit more focused on the shorter part versus the longer part of just a longer year. Pause. It's more focused on being out there for a couple days versus the season. You have to be out there the whole time. Sometimes the shorter stuff it can require more focus, more management. Each game means a little more, especially those pool play games. As they get, especially if we get to a point where some teams could get knocked out in pool play, that could be a factor depending on how big this tournament grows for us. But I'm always happy to get one. We will be given our award on week 4 for I believe we'll be getting a plaque for the OC Summer Classic. And it's something I'm looking to try to do more of in the future, is continue to win more and more tournaments. I believe for Dustin that was his 4th tournament win of the summer. He's hosted 3 tournaments and won all 3 of them. His most recent was with me, which by the way, September 23rd there will be a SoCal tournament in Fullerton. Details are on the Instagram, or you can ask me if you're interested in putting a team out there. It'll be the last tournament they do before the December 31st tournament, which is a big one for them last year. That's how we got into. That's how I got into this league and how I got to where I am. If you want more details, let me know. We can get teams in there. I will probably I will probably be there. Probably be playing with Dustin, because we're trying to get some more chemistry to get ready for York, Pennsylvania for the United Football Championships. But who knows? I could be playing with some of my LOC teammates. Yeah, for me, winning this is always a cool thing. I'm just a very competitive guy in general, and it's always nice. It's always nice to have fun and to be able to win while you're doing it. So glad to get my second championship in this league, and looking to try to carry this over to the fall.
Well, that's awesome. Definitely, carry the momentum over. You have 2 new teams now. Obviously, you're not managing one of them. We have guys for that as well. splits the team that won the OC Summer Classic in half, with Ethan going to the OC Wiffles of LA. But the majority of that team is now part of the LA Wiffles of OC. Chris Lee obviously is not playing this year, but we're looking to keep the momentum going in here, and I think that's kind of just the goal, is to return to the playoffs and make another run for a second championship in the year 2023. So 2 championships already. Let's make it a 3 for the charm.
Yeah, I've continued to help expand, bringing a lot of guys from different areas. I have my team. I have the OC Wolves of LA, and then I also have Whoosh, which is our Division 2 team. Which is our Division 2 team as well. Sorry, Donald. I'm going to continue to make that. I'm going to continue to make that joke, especially since since they're in D2. Whoosh is in D2, and both of my teams are D1. So I was joking around with him, talking about. I'm sure he's listening to this right now, where because he came up to me right away when he first saw me. He's like, hey, welcome. I got the C team walking up right here. It's like, nice. At least we know one person on their team listens to the podcast, so we appreciate it. It's all in good love. It's nothing serious or hateful to you guys. It's just a lot of you guys used to play with the other ones of OC. Like Ryan, like Donald played with me for a little bit. Ryan started with me for 2 seasons. Nick started with me for 2 seasons. Owen Sherb, I didn't play football with me, but I've played baseball with him for a couple seasons now. And then didn't play with either Drew or Madison. Sorry, Malcolm. I apologize. Wow. I apologize. I used. It's the last name that threw me off, and I'm not gonna reveal that why. But for Malcolm is why I'd never played with him. But the majority of that team, especially when we used to have some other guys on the team. That used to play with us on my team, so it's all in good fun.
I mean, it could be fitting too, because we don't have a team that is in Division 2, so they could represent the spirit of LA Wolves of OC in Division 2, and they can also win their own championship as well. So
I'm not buying any more jerseys though; those things are way too expensive.
Well, they're Whoosh, so
they're paying for their own jerseys.
We can give them a sticker that they can put on their jerseys with the LA Wolves OC logo. And you can put affiliate of, and then the sticker there.
Are they like the double A affiliate now?
Yeah. We can definitely do that. Do you also want to put a sticker on the Drake Hoffman's jersey that says "We own you" as well? That could be a thing as well. I know he's talked some junk at our team before, and now we've beaten their guys once and a few times, maybe too many times now. So
one thing I will say about Drake, the solo home run I had in the third inning, he did make a great effort. He died. He was leaning over the fence, had the ball in his hands. Unfortunately, could not come up with it, but it was a great effort in the championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And the falling over the fence, I think we had to repair the fence a little bit because he's a big, strong man, and he knocked that fence over with the sheer power of him just leaning over it. So, but
he flipped over it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. He put his body on the line. That's what we like to see, the passion with this league, especially in the championship game. Unfortunately for him, he did not come up with the catch, but it was a great thing to see. And if he had caught that one, that would have I wouldn't have been mad. I might have punched him a little bit, but it would have all been good. So it was it's all appreciated, him going out like that, but. Maybe I'll possibly put something on for the tournament. Not on Drake. Something on our jerseys for the tournament. So we'll see. Got to think about that. Got to think if that's a possibility, and things like that. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm not giving anything to Drake. Drake has beaten us a couple of times here in the regular season, especially as of late. So I mean, then his team was in the World Series last year. Was very close to coming out with a win there. Unfortunately, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Beach City Bombers. Unfortunately for him, I should say. Fortunately for the Beach City Bombers, but just looking forward to more stuff in the future. Looking forward to try to get some more victories with the other Wolves of OC.
Yeah, I mean, we watched that whole World Series unfold. Obviously, we commentated that game and watched some of the bigger moments. And unfortunately, that's not the first time he's dropped an important pop fly in a very important situation. He did have one in one of those games in the World Series. That ultimately allowed the Beach City Bombers to win. I believe it was the first game. But we always have history with Drake and the Hoffman brothers. We've always had that history for a long time. Speaking of which, we just did fantasy football stuff with them. So every time we play them, it's always in good fun. We've had a season series where we played on a Saturday up in Yorba Linda, and every time we play against them, it's always just in good fun and friendly banter and all that type of thing. So nothing against him. We just love throwing a little bit of a friendly shade at our buddy over there.
I got to be more careful as well. He's my coach now, so.
Oh yeah.
Him, Dylan, and Kyle coach me right now, so I got to be. I got to be a little more careful with what I say now. With school and practice, with school starting up, would have already started by the time this podcast goes up, and then also with practice starting up pretty soon. I got to be careful. You might try to whip me into shape a little too much. You might be trying to get some payback.
Fair enough. And speaking of which, I believe Dylan got promoted as well. So congratulations to him for getting that promotion too. But that makes your situation that more interesting.
It does, yeah. But that's about all we have for that. We appreciate everyone coming out to the tournaments. Looking to hopefully do more stuff like this in the future. Hopefully we'll have the guys that'll be able to come out and things like that. That's what it's all about. None of this can happen without everyone else coming out.
Absolutely.
But now I should probably just go back and focus on the regular season now.
Well, I do want to talk about, since we're on the topic of tournaments, before we get to the Week 2 stuff, I do want to mention about your fast pitch tournament up in Upland of recent, and kind of go over that a little bit before we kind of talk about the Week 2 results and save that for the little bit last part of our show here, if that is okay with you.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, just wasn't expecting that order. So this be two Saturdays ago on the 19th, August 19th. I went up to another fast pitch tournament. Didn't go with any of the guys from OC with football, such as like Justin or Jordan or things like that. I decided to go with some of the SoCal guys, some of which, hopefully, pretty much all of which I'll be going to the Wiffball World Championships in October. This team out there at this point, it was me, it was Dustin Staggs, it was Ethan Johnson, it was Cannon Rabbit, and it was Nate Dodero. With Dustin and Ethan both playing on the Panthers, Cannon and Nathan Dodero playing on the Phoenix, and then I'm on the Sharks in there. There are 8 teams out there on the day. We treated it like the bracket for United Wiffle. It's a very long explanation process, but you have 8 teams in the middle, 4 matchups to start, and then if you win your first game, you play another team that won their first game. And if you lose your first game, you play another team that lost their first game, and so on and so forth. And with one team that's 3-0, 2 teams 2-1, 2 teams are 1-2, and then one team is 0-3. With the 0-3 team getting eliminated and the 3-0 team getting a bye in the playoffs after this style. So we went in the day, first game, we won. We were facing off against G-Town, who we played in our very first fast pitch tournament in May. Like Dustin on the mound, he was pitching good, a little bit wild at times, but ended up being good, not allowing any runs in the game. Hitting wise, we were trying to get into it a little bit. So I had a couple hits during the game, really kind of get most of the hitting going. Then the 4th inning, I lead it off with a walk. We have a 2-strike roller down the left side. Cannon was kind of out in front of on his front foot. Just stuck the ball down to the left. The third base side was just fair. So runners were on first and third. And Ethan Johnson hits a line drive up the middle over the pitcher's head to win the game 1-0. We go on next to play the Cajuns, team based out of Las Vegas. Lose that one 4-0. Had some decent at bats in there. Cannon with a hit or two. Ethan with a hit. Dustin pitched a little bit and gave up 2 2-run home runs. And Ethan Johnson came into the game and actually pitched pretty well in his first time pitching in fast pitch. He had never really played much fast pitch before this tournament, so it was good to see him get some experience and pitch pretty well. Actually, he was able to adjust to that pretty well. I had some good at bats in there. Don't believe I got on base in that game, but I grounded it out once or twice and struck out a couple times. Lose that game 4-0. We go on to play another team called the Outlaws. There's been at a lot of the SoCal tournaments. Just you may remember like their main guy, Justin, the older guy with the mustache. That was his team. That's the Outlaws. We struggled a little bit in the beginning to start off with. I believe Dustin was going to. No, we had Nate Dodero starting on the mound. Our number 5 arm. We had him going. He struggled. He struggled a little bit and having to come out of the game. Actually, I'm not sure how, but he somehow got some glass inside of his sock, and eventually got stuck in his foot.
What?
I'm not quite sure how it happened, but I think it might have happened like when he was like earlier before he put his shoes on and stuff, and then it didn't get into the third game. I'm not sure how that all worked.
That's wild.
We end up going down 4-1. Bottom of the third inning, we rally back. Actually, Nathan Dodero had 2 home runs. One of them after he got the glass out of his foot. I believe Cannon had a home run. I believe everyone on our team had a home run that game except for me. I was just missing on a lot of pitches. I had 1 or 2 hits there, but not my best hitting game. We come back in the third inning, make it a 5-4 game. Dustin was still in the game. He shuts it out. We end up with a double and runner on first, 1 out. We end the game with a double play, and we win that game 5-4, putting us at 2-1. And we end up getting the 3 seed. So first seed. So the Cajuns were the 1 seed. You had the Las Vegas Pharaohs were the 2 seed, which I'll talk more about what happened with them in a little bit. We were the 3 seed. You had Wiff was the 4 seed. And then 5th seed you had G-Town. 6th seed was it was Outlaws. 7th seed was determined by the 2-0-2 teams, and the Spitfires ended up beating the host Peter Maccabee's team with a walk-off home run. So they were the 7th seed.
Damn.
It was a very interesting day out there. But just talk more about the Pharaohs for a little bit. So two of their main guys coming in from Vegas, they were planning on coming there, and they saw the weather. You know, this was day before the hurricane and things like that. They ended up deciding not to deciding not to come out there. That they won't be able to come out there. So right away at the beginning. At that point, they were down to 2 people. It was PJ Gordon and Jackson Blum. Jackson Blum shows up late. So PJ Gordon was playing a lot of the day by himself. They actually somehow end up in the 2 seed, and then as we got into the playoffs, Jackson had to leave again. So PJ was really kind of on his own the whole day. He was playing by and hitting. He was just pitching and hitting by himself. There's not a whole lot he could do defense wise, and I know by the end of the day he was drained. But you know they had the help of Jackson in their second game, and they were able to get the 2 seed in there somehow, which is still ridiculous how PJ pretty much by himself got the 2 seed. So we get into our matchup. We're playing the Outlaws again. That's a 3-6 matchup, and we continue to keep the bats rolling right away. Dustin throws a 0 in the top of the first inning. I hit a 2-run homer I hit a 2-run homer to lead things off in the bottom of the first, and we just kept hitting. Ended up scoring 12 runs in the first inning. And then as we got to the it's a 10-run mercy after 2 innings, or 15 after 1 inning. So we were up 12-0. Dustin gave up 1 run in the top of the second. We ended up holding on to win that one 12-1. I say holding on like it wasn't an 11-run win. And we're waiting for the winner of the 2-7 matchup, which was the Pharaohs versus PJ versus Spitfires. And at that point, going into that game, PJ was just drained and tired, and he ended up losing that game to the Spitfires. So we ended up playing. We play the Spitfires in the next game. We have our lefty Cannon Rabbit starting the game for his first time, also really pitching fast pitch as well. He had some practice right before the game, but he ended up doing pretty good pitch. Put a 0 in the first inning, and then once again we just continued to hit. I may have hit right away my first at bat. I may have hit the furthest ball I've hit at that one of those tournaments. It might have gone 150, 160 feet. Just hit an absolute nuke. We just continued rolling on, continued hitting. I did have a home run robbed. Very similar. It was almost the exact same as Drake's, except this guy caught it. There's your shaded Drake. But nice. That was the first out, and at that point I think it was already 8-0. We ended up mercying them in the first inning. We beat them 15-0. Kind of an unfortunate ending. They had the third out in their hands. It was 14-0, runner on third, and had a slow ground ball to the pitcher, and the pitcher bounced it to the backstop, which means there's no out recorded. Oh. So that's how we won the game. Spitfire, they were kind of tired as well. At that point, they were just happy to be able to get there. You know, they nearly got knocked out, and they nearly went 0-3, and then finishing the day 2-3 for them. So they were pretty happy with the results. Where on the other side, you had a great battle between Wiffzilla and the Cajuns going on. Goes to 6 innings. Wiffzilla gets a 2-run single to make it a 2-0 ball game. Randy Dalby, as he does, shuts it down on the mound. They get the win. So now you have, well, I guess it was more SoCal Wiffle Ball on the day. You had SoCal Wiffle Ball versus Wiffzilla. And as luckily, we were the higher seed, actually, because Wiffzilla was the 4 seed going into that. So we were the home team, and that was your final set. You know, whichever team wins gets $300. Second place gets $150, and I think third/fourth place got $50 each. So there was some money on the line and things like that. So I had worked my way around where I hadn't had to pitch it all the whole day. I know Dustin pitched a lot. And I don't know, he was pretty sore afterwards as well. But so I get my chance to start. And right away I just struggled to find the zone. I was making some good pitches. I think a lot of the pitches were very close, but I was kind of. I was yanking a lot of my pitches, just kind of. I guess I'm not really used to not having to throw for a lot of the day, because when we've been out there at the tournaments, I've pretty much thrown it nearly every single game. So right away, I walk guys in to give up 1 run in the first. Then to start off the second inning, I walk 4 straight. Make it a 2-0 ball game. I get pulled. We put Cannon Rabbit back in the game, who luckily had only pitched 1 inning through the game. He gets the second out, and the third out. It's a slow dribbler down the line that just stays fair, that just goes past the line, and bringing in 2 more runs, making it a 4-0 ball game. And that point, I was like, okay, I kind of blew it. And that was the worst game I've pitched in a long time in wiffle ball. I'm if anything, I'm a very good strike thrower, and to have that was very weird for me. But things happen. I'm glad to get it out of the way now versus what happened in October. Having the final would kind of stunk for me, especially since I didn't pitch the rest of the earlier games or anything like that. So we're trying to battle. We're trying to figure out Randy Dalby. I think I started trying to kind of figuring something out, kind of figure out what pitches he's going to throw when. We get to the fourth inning. Dustin leads it off with a walk, and I follow him. I hit a one hopper to the wall, being a double, bringing in a run, making it a 4-1 game. Meanwhile, Cannon's shutting down on the mound there. He's doing very good. If he had I wonder how different it would have been if he had started the game. Would we have won that? Who knows? I just didn't have it in that game. That's very weird for me out there. But I now have my own wiffle balls that just came in the week after. So I was trying to use one of Dustin's balls, but maybe that could have been the issue, or maybe it was just I think it was a multitude of things that I just wasn't doing well. But I made up for it with the offense. Fifth inning, 1 out, 2 strikes on me. I had a solo home run off Randy Dalby, make it a 4-2 game. Unfortunately, the next 2 guys strike out. We end up losing the game 4-2. I was unfortunate loss, but I was glad to get some offense going, especially against a guy like Randy. The first time Justin and I played him, he threw a 3-inning perfect game against us. And my first time ever playing fast pitch wiffle ball. And then I was glad to be able to see some stuff. I think I started finally figuring something out, and it worked. Ended up bringing the 2 RBIs for our team, ended up hitting very well against him, especially a guy like him. He's ranked last year. He was ranked 40th in the wiffle ball top 100 rankings, and in the past he's been much higher as well. So I was glad to be able to have some success against the number 40 wiffle ball player. We go home with $30 each. Split it amongst 5 guys, $150 amongst 5 guys. Learned a lot out there, and hopefully we'll be ready for when we come around in October. But overall, I hit very well. Just unfortunately, the pitching wasn't great. And I played pretty good defense as well, and I was able to help the guys kind of understand the rules and better understand what to do in certain situations and things like that. But overall, I think it was a success for us, and I'm looking to get ready for. We're about 5-6 weeks away from when I'll be going to October. We'll be missing the beach games because of that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the training a little bit. So it's a good thing you guys or yourself got the, I don't want to say yips out of the way from that game. But it seemed like, I mean, this is all in, just practice for when you guys ultimately go up to York. But, you guys have seen you and I have seen a lot of those teams that have been in that tournament for a couple of tournaments now. What can you say has been like the biggest improvement overall after seeing a lot of those, higher velocity pitches from some of the guys you see, especially like, Randy and all those guys?
The biggest thing for me personally was just being able to see it firsthand. I mean, kind of around where when in both an OC with ball and SoCal, I'm more kind of the guy that pitches a lot, and it's kind of that number 1 pitcher, whether it be in either league. I'm at the top of both of those leagues in terms of pitching. If not like one of the top guys, I'd say. And to be able to see some guys, Randy's been around this style, playing wiffle ball competitively for 20 plus years. Seeing some other guys like that, and the biggest thing for me was just seeing the actual speed of the ball, because especially when we kind of practice and stuff for for the LOC as we just did recently. I'm throwing some really. I'm getting guys like you some really good looks at the plate, kind of seeing a really good pitcher, but then I don't get to see the extremely good pitcher myself a lot. You're not a bad pitcher, but you're not me. You're not
Randy,
Hoffman and things like that.
Yeah,
and you're definitely not a guy like Randy Dalby or Mike Toohey or things like or the Cajun guys or Tom Gannon or things like that.
Right.
But for me, actually being able to see it was a difference, and I felt like I got better as I kept going along. I started seeing the ball better and understanding the actual pitches. The main one. When we played the Cajuns in the pool play, I I don't believe I got on base. I got on base once due to a walk, but I think I only struck out one time in my 4 at bats, and the other times it was a pop up that I just missed on another ground ball. I which another inch lower on my barrel, and that's a line drive, probably going for a single. And the biggest thing for me was just being able to see this speed and kind of getting more comfortable with it. I think I'm sure they'll be faster out there in York, but I feel a lot more confident going into and going into this and seeing how fast these pitches are going with the different movement and stuff. Because the first time we were playing Randy Dalby and stuff, we basically had no shot of hitting him.
Mm-hmm.
I started figuring some stuff out at the end. I had a couple ground balls which I got out, but the next time we played Mike Two, we pitched hitting against Mike Two. I ended up hitting the home run against him, and against Randy, I had the double and the home run. So I think I'm starting to see stuff a little better and get a better understanding of things. So I'm hoping the rest of the guys on my team were able to get that experience.
I mean, you're seeing them in first person as well. After seeing, some of their performances in this tournament as well, how confident are you with the other guys on your roster as well? Especially like being able to hold your own. Do you think you guys are confident enough to be able to say maybe we might be able to, fit in as an above average team amongst the other group of teams that will be there in October?
I think we got the capability. I think it's just going to rely on consistency for us, consistency at the plate, and then really just continuing to throw strikes. I think the number one thing is just going to have to be the consistency at the plate. When we got to these games with against Randy Dalby, I was really I think we had one hit outside of me, but we only had 2 or 3 hits in the game, and I had 2 hits. It's going to be just can we get that offense, or can we just get on base versus these guys, so I can come up to the plate and I can be able to possibly bring those runs in. Against the Cajuns, we had the base runners a couple times, and O'Cannon Rabbit had a couple hits against them. I think Ethan Johnson had a hit against them. I know Dustin's seen more and more of this. He's been to 3 of these tournaments now. One of them, the one before this last one. But I think our goal, if we can get to the final 16, which would have to involve us winning 2 or 3 games, I think that can be seen as a very big success for us. I'm hoping to get a couple. I think just getting 2 wins in general will be good for us. Possibly knocking off some team that no one would expect. There's a lot of very good. I mean, pretty much get all the best players in the world out there. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see who we get matched up with and how we do against those guys, and just who has the better day that day, who's going to be able to carry the torch out there and do the job for the team. Cannon Rabbit really stepped up as a pitcher. Dustin Staggs showed he could be that guy who can eat up innings and take a lot of those earlier games, as well as Ethan stepped in against a good Cajuns team, was able to shut them out when he came in. Then I know I'm going to pitch a lot better than I did, and hitting wise, I think that 4, and then possibly another. We're trying to look at possibly bringing in another guy for that 5th spot. I think that group of 5 could be very good, very underrated group. The East Coast football, they kind of disrespect the West Coast football a little bit. It's not seen as pure, things like that. But I think we could have a good shot to do some to surprise some people out there and put our names out there. And I've had some conversations like Mike Toohey and stuff before. You're saying if you play I did in the first 2 tournaments, there could be some teams out there looking for a guy like me out there to be one of their earlier pitchers, or to be one of their good bats and stuff like that. So who knows what's going to happen with that? It's going to be very interesting to see. I think just need a bit more practice, and I was been practicing with fast pitch. I finally got all my balls ordered. I got them in. Was practicing a little bit a few hours right before recording this podcast. I was able to get some of the consistency back with the proper balls that I like the most.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll check back in on you once we get closer to the tournament date and kind of get the expectations and what the team outlook would look like and get a preview of what that may be towards when we get closer to that. We'll have some more information about that tournament overall as well, and then obviously the beach games will be a different story. But for me being on the other side of this. I think it'll be interesting to be able to see you guys represent. I think we've mentioned that before, representing West Coast wiffle ball as it is. But thank you for sharing your story for sure about that tournament.
Yeah, I think actually, I think our team is kind of representing California in general.
Mm.
I believe looking at a post recently of from the United with Wiff, I believe we may be the only California players going out there, going out there to play. There'll be a good number of guys from Nevada, and there are a few from Arizona. But really, that's kind of the West Coast. That's kind of the West Coast area. That's really kind of all it is. I think we're pretty much going to be that main California team going out there, and I'm wondering how people will kind of see that.
Yeah, definitely. So if you guys are ultimately representing California, then go California in that sense. But I think that's all for now about the tournament stuff, and then once we get closer to those dates, like we said, we'll talk more about that, and then of course we'll come back to it when you guys come back from October. So I think
maybe we'll put Dustin on again just to kind of talk a little bit about stuff. So who knows? He'll be he's the official captain for it, but him and I are kind of have been working together on stuff like this. So it's a team effort with me and him figuring stuff out for all this. But he's the name captain for sure.
absolutely, yeah. So I guess we'll see what happens, and then I guess if it does come to have him back on the show, then we'll gladly have him back here on that Scuffed Up episode, whatever 30 plus down the road, wherever we're at that point. But let's get back to reality. We got some games we got to talk about for week 2 results.
I don't know if that was meant to be rude or not. So here's all your expectations. All right, let's get back to reality. Thanks.
I mean it in the sense, you guys are going to an otherworldly thing, which is, you're playing in a tournament that's basically termed international with you got like a Japanese team that's going in there. I don't know if there's any other international teams, but, obviously for the purpose of our podcast, for the most part, we're talking about the results of, our regular season stuff. So I think that's just kind of where that goes in, that joke was going towards. So, yes, back to reality. Here we go. Back to Mother Earth. Anyways, so week 2, we got your results here. Just like a week ago, we'll discuss the Division 1 teams, move on to the Division 2 teams, and then we'll go to the Purple League teams, and then we'll talk about the standings a little bit, what that looks like, and then what are kind of the expected games of week 3 that's coming up here in just a few days upon the date of this recording. So let's get started with it, and the first game on today's sheet, Trash Pandas and LA Wolves of OC. This is a rematch of last year's divisional game where the Trash Pandas wound up beating the LA Wolves of OC in that game in extra innings. A lot of ample opportunities. This one was a different story in itself. Trash Pandas did not have Mo Wright in this game, but they came up with a very big win against the LA Wolves of OC. They had the bats rolling. LA Wolves of OC were down 2 guys in this game, so it's a lot different picture when you don't have a fully loaded roster on there. We had some issues with that as well, missing that one guy, extra guy out the defensive side of things. But the final score of our first game of the day, 10-4, Trash Pandas win it, and they move on to a 2-0 record on the season.
Yeah, 2 undefeated teams. The Trash Pandas have beaten the OC Wolves of LA the first week. Our other team, and then we had beaten the Beach City Bombers in the first week. very. I'd say this is kind of an unlucky game for us to be quite honest. Uh, very the team as the other teams that are out there know at 6 o'clock know from what happened. It was pretty windy to start off that day. I think we had three or four home runs that are normally home runs at the Great Park get taken away here. Even one of the home runs Jordan had was very close to getting robbed. When it at Great Park, there's no chance it's getting robbed out there. Um, Trash Pandas had the they it was a very close game going into things. It was 3-2 at one point. Fifth inning, Jordan Dressler was pitching on the mound. Walked a couple runs in, then gave up a grand slam, making it a 10-3 game, 10-2 game. And at that point, things kind of broke open. Jordan hit a two-run hoping to make it 10-4. But other than that, LOC they pretty unlucky in that game. I told the guys, we're not gonna with the much different wind patterns, it's gonna affect a lot of stuff, and I think without the win, I think that's a game we potentially win. We didn't really have the bats going too much either. I went 5 for 8 in that game with a walk. I think I had more hits than our other 3 players combined, though. Jordan just shot a couple home runs. Greg Gualtieri got on base a couple times, and Justin finally got his first hit of the year, but that was his only hit of the year. If I'm looking correctly, Jordan Dressler had 3 hits and had 3 hits with 2 home runs. I had 5 hits in that game, but unfortunate result for the Louisville C. Puts them at 1-1, puts them in the 4 seed. Trash Pandas, they were missing one of their guys, Mo Wright, but were able to do the job and get the victory.
Yeah, definitely. This was one of the more unfortunate results for the Oluwusa OC. Trash Pandas have been kind of on a killing so far in their games, facing, obviously, the first game they had of the season was against our other team, and then obviously playing us. They had the bats going. Unfortunately, there was a lot of home runs that kind of floated up way too long for their defense, and they made some pretty easy catches. They hit the ball in spots where our defense was not, so we were definitely missing that extra guy on the opposite side of the field, and they had us kind of run around multiple different parts of the field as well. But it looked like they were just dialed in this game, and obviously the result is the result, and they're standing at as we're looking at this right now, a 2-0 on the season right now, so they're off to a pretty good start in their endeavors this fall season. But
yeah, they took advantage of the stuff. They're still younger guys. Were able to move around pretty quickly. Had some tough catches in the outfield where the ball was holding up in the winds. They come away. They got the runs when they needed to off of Jordan. They come away with a 10-4 victory, making them 2-0. So they look to increase their record. That's their next game we'll talk about a little bit. Will be versus the defending champions, Beach City Bombers.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll get to that in just a moment here. But I do want to talk about the next game, which is also we've seen a handful of lopsided games. Last week we had a really lopsided one with Whoosh coming away with 30+ runs in their game. This one happening in Division 1 as it was, with the MS Warriors taking on the Avocabros. This was extremely lopsided. The final score 27-4. MS Warriors are now 2-0 on the record sheet now. They are actually at this point 3-0, which we'll talk about their game in just a second. Avocabros do lose this one, and this looked pretty good for the run differential if you're a big guy in stats.
Yeah, Avocabros were down to 3 guys, missing, especially missing Dan, their second pitcher. They were struggling a little bit with the pitching, and then hitting wise, MS Warriors were ready. They were taking their walks when needed, and they were putting the ball in play and making good things happen. Nathan Beckley finally started figuring things out at the plate. I was talking to him a little bit. He was kind of asking some stuff. He's on the MS Warriors, and he played summer ball with me this previous summer. He just kind of asked me about like what I do differently with football versus baseball. I told him some stuff, and all of a sudden he started hitting good. He started hitting a couple home runs and things like that. So it seems like what I told him worked, but it is what it is. Cowboys, they're used to high scoring games. Unfortunately for them, this is a game where they let up a lot of runs and they didn't score a lot. I mean, Dylan's not a very easy pitcher to go against. So for the Avid Cowboys, you kind of just move on to next week. You went 1-1. You were close to beating the Purple Huskies last week. So after this rose, you kind of just move on to next week.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's just kind of what happens
what
here.
What did Belichick say? It was on to Cincinnati.
And look how that ended up. Yeah, that's a good saying for what that moment is. But yeah, that's kind of been the unfortunate theme for the Avocados for a couple seasons now. It's the high scoring games and giving up a lot of runs. The other part obviously was they were down on guys too, so they were missing a couple dudes in the defensive side of things. So they obviously had that other issue, being able to stop the balls from traveling too far. And it came up against a very good team in the MS Warriors, and the score on this, the run differential being 23 runs for this game in favor of the MS Warriors. So pretty good. There goes my
You could do math.
There's my math of the day. There we go. I can do addition, guys.
It was subtraction, but all right.
Yeah, it's true. Anyways, so the game that we wanted to get to just upon talking about the very first one on our sheet, the third game of the day was the reigning summer 2022 champions, coming off of a loss against our team actually from a week ago, needing a win here to not seem like they're in a World Series championship slump or whatnot, if you want to call it. But they take on the Trash Pandas, who came off the victory on the very first game of the day. And Beach City Bombers actually held them to a shutout. So the final score 5-0 in this game. Beach City Bombers advance in the standings on their part, and Trash Pandas do get their first loss of the year.
Yeah, I mean, things started very quickly for the Beach City Bombers right away. First batter, Zach Moore, making his first appearance of the year, hit a solo shot to left field, and Trash Pandas saw this was going to be a little bit different. The wind had died down at this by the second slot of games, so there wasn't as much wind to hold things up, and they were hitting a lot of line drive. Beach City Bombers were hitting a lot of line drives. Good pitching there from Tyler and Zach. Talk more about their pitching a little bit later on in the next game, but overall they were able to keep the Trash Pandas off balance. They were able to do it. They were able to do it in the semifinals in the championship series last time. In the summer, these two teams played each other, and Beach City Bombers swept them. They were able to do it within the rules, though, which is always good this time. But Beach City Bombers get their first win of the year. Same thing happened with the Ellisville Sea in the summertime. They lost their first game, and they came back. Very similar teams. When your first game versus the Trash Pandas, so just like the Ellisville Sea did in the summer 2023, except that was a much different Trash Pandas team back then. That was when they were still kind of getting adjusted to learning how to play. So Beach City Bombers getting off to the right foot there to start off week 2.
Yeah, definitely. And Zach Moore returning off of his season where he had a ton of home runs, was the home run derby champion from the summer season, and he's already got 3 home runs on the stat sheet. He is 1 home run off of the leader, who is Ryan Swanson in Division I right now. But on his day, he came back, being absent from a week ago, and making his debut in the fall 2023 season in this game, and did a pretty good job. And then we'll get to the Beach City Bombers' second game of the day, which did not go their way. And actually, MS Warriors were also part of the doubleheader teams in this one as well. And Looks like they came away with another very big victory. This also adds on to their run differential of a score of 13-2. The Beach City Bombers get their second loss of the season, and MS Warriors are standing in a pretty good spot right now, being the 3-win undefeated team in Division 1 currently standing.
Yeah, both games combined, they outscore their opponents 40-6. That's how you get that run differential. That'll make a difference when it comes. Really could make a difference when it comes to seeding. Pitching wise, this second game, the Beach City Bombers struggled a little bit. Tyler Moore, I think right away he walked the first 4 batters he faced, and then Zach Moore, he was struggling with the radar of the speed limit a little bit. I think he was getting a little frustrated with that. There are a few guys in this league who sometimes will sit above that limit. Guys like Zach, guys like Jordan. In the past, there have been one or two guys also to do that. So I know he was. I know he wasn't the happiest with me because I was making all those calls because I was sitting there behind the radars. He was getting a little hostile with me, but it's all fine at the end of the day. But MS Warriors, they were taking their walks in the beginning. They had some good hits when they needed it. I believe Tyler Moore had a ball he dropped in the outfield that dropped for a grand slam as well with Shaden Hendrickson getting his 3rd home run on the year. But good start for the MS Warriors. They had that heartbreaking loss in the semifinals versus the Purple Huskies. Be interested to see when that matchup happens. Won't be happening this week. The MS Warriors have a bye this week, so we'll see what happens when that happens in the future. But couldn't ask for much more of a better start for the MS Warriors. You come into the first week, you beat Anthony's team, and you come in here, you light up the scoreboard, getting a plus 34 run differential, putting that clearly at the top here. It's actually funny looking at this run differential on here. The next highest run differential is the Trash Pandas with a plus 7, and then you have the MS Warriors at plus 38. So that's kind of funny to see on the standings.
Yeah, the run differential definitely kind of.
Not letting that slide.
That run differential definitely kind of inflates the stat sheet a bit, and it kind of helps their stance of where they're standing currently right now, which is in first place. And like you said, the next team down is a plus 7 run differential. But the rules and everything like that with the speedometer, keeping track of the speeds and stuff. I mean, obviously it's fair because that's just kind of the way the rules have been set. We've been trying to keep that consistently throughout the seasons, and we finally have enough radars to keep track of the big Division 1 games and keeping track of those. And Division 1's meant to be more competitive, so keeping a close eye on those games is one of the most important things for this season, and I think that's just kind of where things have kind of turned. So, if you can adjust to it, you can't. If you can adjust to it, if you can't adjust to it, then you're gonna have to work on that a bit. So I think it's just only fair that everyone's kind of keeping track of that, and I think most teams do keep a pretty good track of the speed limit and everything like that. I know for yourself, you'd like to, especially when we're batting on our side, we're definitely keeping an eye on that radar a bit just to see where the speed of the pitches are, because obviously if it goes over, then that helps our team a bit, but it kind of keeps the game fair, where we're not doing Jordan Drexlers and throwing 80-mile-per-hour pitches every single moment.
Yeah, that's true. I know Zach was surprised that some of the pitches were going over. I'm just telling him I'm just telling people what the radar says. The radars, unless it does something ridiculous, like it says like 89 on a ball that hits the radar on a swing or something like that. You got to go with what the radar says, and at that point, it wasn't in his favor this past week. Out on those fields, we'll see how he is able to adjust for it if he's there for week 3. But great victory for the MS Warriors. They're kind of on that Dylan and Shaden teaming up again. It's kind of they're bringing back the spring vibes when they went 9-1 and. With the 1 seed in the regular season, but were knocked out of the playoffs by the Louisville C as they wanted to win their championship. But it's kind of, this team's kind of bringing back those vibes. You still have guys like Garrett Munoz on the team contributing. You have Nathan Beckley new to the team who's starting to put up some better numbers now, and now you have Matt Hornich on the team as well. He wasn't there this past week, but it's a bunch different. You have that extra big hitter in there that can make a difference. But Shaden off to a great start, especially average wise, off to a 588 average with a 750 on base percentage so far. Tied for the lead in home runs in Division 1 with 3. He's off to a great start, off to a potential MVP start so far.
Yeah, 100%. And that team has a lot of good guys on their roster to really make a go for another run this year potentially, and take the spot of the number 1 seed like they did in springtime. So they have a really good shot.
Shane's looking for championship number 2. I mean, Dylan's still looking for that first one. We'll see if this formula is the year that they get it done.
Yeah, they're changing it up this year. They gotta, they're mixing it up between the 2 teams that they have. This team and then the Purple Huskies on the other side of things. So we'll keep a close eye on it and see how things go for them in Week 3. Anyways, moving on to the next and final game of Division 1, we got Shepherd's Pie, which is Anthony Agrus's team, taking on the other Wiffles team, the OC Wiffles of LA, who have been off to a very rocky start thus far this season, but they could not fare with a win this time in this game, so they fall into 0-3 at the very bottom of the division board, which is a very tough spot for them. The final score in this game was 6-3 in this game, which Shepherd's Pie advanced to a even 1 win on their stat sheet.
Very close, pretty close game between these teams. It was very, very close for all scoreless for the first few innings. James Lee started the game for the OC Wolves of LA. Was pitching very well. It was really confusing some of the guys on Shepherd's Pie. Some people don't know who James Lee is or what to expect from him. And now these first 3 teams they've played are starting to get a taste for what he's like. Curious how he'll do against some of the teams such as the LA Wolves of OC, MS Warriors, and the Purple Huskies as well. That top echelon of teams. I'm curious to see how he'll do against those teams and how they'll do. But offense has been a little bit of the struggle for the OC Wolves of LA. They were making a comeback. They were starting to. They were trailing 6-1 at the bottom of the 6th. End up scoring two runs off some walks and a hit, and I believe there was a hit mixed in there as well. At the end of the day, they weren't able to bring any more runs across. Dominic struck out on a 3-2 pitch to end the game. But Dominic Caroni, I should say, is the person who struck out on the 3-2 pitch to end the game. Pretty close game. LA have not lost by a lot. Their run differential is still pretty low. They're at a -13. They have 18 runs and 31 given up. They had a lot of those runs against the Avocados in a 17-13 game. I think they could still be in there to make some noise in Division 1. I think they can upset some of these teams. I'm hoping it's not this week, but we'll get more into that a little later. But and then for Anthony, he had Ethan Raffman out there for the first time. Him getting back into the league again with Anthony's team. They were able to move their way up to 5th place, making them 1-1.
Yeah, absolutely. We kind of consistently see those numbers, with Shepherd's Pie, Anthony Agrus's team especially. He's got a new group of guys on his roster as well. For OC Wolves at LA, it's we said it at the very last episode. In episode 19 for That's Scuffed Up, they've had their struggles a bit. They're just getting used to it a little bit more. They kind of been thrown into that scene of being part of Division 1, which is a tough position to be in. But we've seen teams, towards the bottom of the leaderboards early in the season and bounce back up all the way to a top spot, even a playoff spot like the Trash Pandas like a year ago, who were very close to the bottom of the standings, but were able to manage to get all the way up, and they did get a playoff win from that. So we've seen it before, and it could potentially happen this season. And if not week 3, which hopefully not, week 4 definitely is the right place to do it and the right time to make a good push here, because there's still a lot of wiffle ball to play left in the season.
Yeah, especially with that extra week happening in there now. October 10th will now be another week of the regular season. There's a little extra more to be played here. Looking forward to stuff like that. This team's got a lot of potential. It's going to take that first couple weeks. It's going to be their adjustment period, but I think it's going to be an interesting battle to see what they do the rest of the season. When James Lee is clearly adjusted, how will guys like Joaquin Jimenez adjust? He's more of a fast pitch pitcher. Will he be able to adjust more to the slow pitch? And then will Ethan Lee be able to find the strike zone more? Or we're possibly going to see more of David Quiros or Dominic Caroni on the mound. Who knows? But this team's got talents. They have a lot of different directions they can go. We'll see if they can maybe bring that record up. I'm sure they're going to be able to bring that record up. I believe 0-3 for them is a little bit of a fluky start, but unfortunately that's where they are right now, and we'll see if they can bounce back.
Well, I mean, you're talking about the talent-wise part. You look at the comparison, if you want to pull up the stat sheet, between Dylan Hoffman and James Lee, who, by the way, is not related to me. Dylan Hoffman has 12 innings pitched. James Lee has 11.3 innings pitched. Dylan Hoffman has 27 strikeouts, and James Lee has 21 strikeouts. And James Lee is holding off with a pretty good ERA on his side of things. So, I mean, the talent-wise, it's there. Obviously, he can't pitch all 6 innings of a game. He can only pitch 4 in total, which is 12 outs. And they just have to figure out who's going to be that second guy, and I think it's going to be a fight between a couple of different guys in there, such as Ethan Lee, who is related to me, and Joaquin Jimenez, who is also coming from a very competitive SoCal wiffle ball league. So they have the talent to do it. It's just a matter of time when they're going to start kicking into high gear.
Yeah, but I think the biggest kind of thing with them is that I think you wish James Lee was related to you.
That'd be funny. It would be, and then we could get my other brother Chris Lee in there. We have 4 Lees in the league. Really,
I'm sure maybe there's some other ones around that I'm blanking on right now. I don't think there's anyone else, but
I think that's the only Lees.
We do have a lot of those.
Yeah, we do have a lot of those Lees, especially part of the Wiffles. But anyways, yeah, that concludes the Division 1 games for Week 2. We'll move on to Division 2 now, who are part of the later games of the day. We've got the first game on our sheet, which is Wiffle D's in the 47ers. This game was a pretty high-scoring game, as expected for a lot of these games, with a less competitive level going down to Division 2 now. So Wiffle D's take this win 15-9 in this game.
Yeah, they get their first win of the year. They come off against a tough loss to the Bad News Dingers. That was an 8-6 victory. I know they got the bats going here. Things were going good for them. 47ers are starting to figure more things out here. Able to get some runs across the board. The first game they played was a bit of a rough one. They're just trying to figure stuff out. More of a younger group of guys figuring stuff out here, but not a bad result for them. But Wiffle D's getting their first win of the year. These guys got a lot of practice under their belts. They came out and played in the tournament with a 4 seed in the OC Wiffle Ball tournament. They lost to the 5 seed OC Seals, but a team like Wiffle D's, they got a real shot at being in there for to see who's going to possibly win that Division 2 and move up to Division 1 for the winter season.
Yeah, they came in summer season last year with a new team of guys, spanking new social media on Instagram. They've got the Garza brothers, who we know pretty well on their team of things. So they're definitely vying for that spot to be able to be pushed up in Division One. But they have to get through a couple of really tough teams who have been in the league for a while, and we'll get to them in just a second here. But interesting start for Wiffle D's.
Yeah, both the Garza brothers starting off with over 500 average, including Brian Garza so far with a 625 average. And then pitching wise for them, I mean, they've had Chris Garza be really their main pitcher for them. Alex Harris has worked in there a bit as well, and even Brian Garza's worked in inning on the mound. We'll see what happens with this team. I think they got a shot in here at being in contention for this Division II crown.
Yeah, for sure, and then we'll keep an eye on what their things look like. Speaking of non-contenders, we have no idea what's been happening with some of the schedule stuff, but if I'm looking at this right, it looks like we had another postponed game as well. We haven't seen the Brothers of Bash show up yet, and we don't even have the names of who's on the roster on the stat sheet, so we're not sure what's going on with things over there, but I guess we'll just kind of keep an eye out for it. And I'm looking at this right, yeah? This is Pacific Thrashers and Bad News Dingers that were meant to take on each other, correct?
Well, I mean, as you can see there was a score. These two teams were playing each other, and their game will be continued this coming week due to time limit and stuff. So if you just read correctly.
So I guess 2-2 is kind of where that game's standing right now, and then I guess
they were playing. It was a pretty good game between these two teams. Obviously, very low scoring. Bad News Dingers looking to continue their success from the first week. But these two teams were stuck at a standstill, and it was one of those things we were trying to get that last game going as well. They got through 6 innings. It was a 2-2 game. And we're going to be continuing on at a later date. So it'll be interesting to see what these two teams, Pacific Thrashers, really bouncing back here. That first week they had that 34-3 loss versus Whoosh. This week, able to make it a tie game with the Bad News Dingers. Really kind of showing really anything can happen within these divisions now that they're separated. But this one will be continued at a later date. Unfortunately, someone didn't know that because they had to leave.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. But in terms of Pacific Thrashers, their guy Eric Diller, who's been, I guess, their best hitter, with a 667 average, 10 plate appearances, 4 walks, and 4 hits in 6 at bats. So he's been kind of the highlight of their team so far this season for their group of guys, being part of this new team in there. So they might be, the kind of that dark horse team that could potentially come out of nowhere, and then I guess we'll just see where they stand once this game resumes action here. I'm guessing whenever it happens or whatnot. But Bad News Dingers is kind of the team, we saw last year. They had some pretty good stats between their guys. We've seen them kind of bounce back a little bit back and forth a season ago. Nick Costello is their best hitter right now, 447 average, 3 home runs, 22 plate appearances, 18 at-bats, and 8 hits in all. So they're also kind of that team that's just in the mix there. So I guess we'll just kind of see what happens when we get back to that. But speaking of Bad News Dingers, though, this was meant to be a doubleheader for them. Obviously, the other game will be resumed later on. This game that they played against the OC Seals, which is another new team in our league that we talked about a week ago with not new guys. They're veteran guys like Ryan Lavelle in there, who is running the team, of course. And they got some pretty cool jerseys on themselves as well. Bad News Dingers did lose this game in a very close but high-scoring game. 18-16, OC Seals get the dub in this game, and they currently stand in the number 2 spot of the standings in Division 2.
Yeah, big win, big comeback here for the Seals. This one only went 4 innings due to time. Bad News Dingers were winning 16-11, I believe, going into the bottom of the 4th inning when it got told it's going to be the last inning. Liv had a walk-off home run for the Seals. I can't remember who was announced somewhere, but someone had a walk-off home run for the Seals. But uh, it, one of those matchups between two of the top teams in this division. Very big result for the Seals here, being able to come back from 7 runs, from 5 runs down to be able to get the victory here as we start off with a 2-1 record, now equaling the record of Whoosh, tying with them in the standings, but just behind them in run difference. But I see a lot of runs being given up in Division Two, especially compared to Division One so far. That's a lot more runs being scored as a result of it, and difference in some of the pitching and things like that. But overall it was a big result there for the OCCs making a comeback.
Yeah, for sure. The front runner of their team right now, and I guess the front runner in the MVP conversation for Division Two would be Braden Salzman with a 647 batting average and 5 home runs with a total of 11 hits and out of 17 at bats. So his OPS a 2.288 on the stat sheet. So he's been doing pretty good for their team, and Ryan Lavelle as well for the OCCL. So they kind of been rolling with the tide right now, and they're definitely fighting for that top spot with our C team Whoosh at the very top of the standings. So we'll get to in just a second.
I take it back. It looks like there was they were down 16-7 going into the last inning.
Oh, that's a big difference.
16-9 going into 16-7. They made on the Instagram. It says they scored 11 runs in the final inning to get the debut.
Wow.
And Nick Doherty got the walk-off home run to send them with a 2-1 victory. So I apologize for that. I don't have the actual individual stats for every single game, so I'm doing the best I can here. But especially since Justin left, big comeback there for the Seals, and they move could be a big factor for the standings.
Yeah, definitely. That's a big comeback victory for them. Obviously, being down by 7 runs is huge, and then you get told that your game's going to be cut off pretty early with time constraints. So, great job by the OC Seals to come back with that big victory and put themselves out in front as well. Our next game on the sheet would be Whoosh and the 47ers. The Whoosh coming off of a very lopsided game a week ago. They're riding off a 2-0 undefeated week 1. They come in here expecting to get another big win as well, but they unfortunately lost in a fairly close game against the 47ers, who get their first win of the year. The final score 8-6. Whoosh getting their first loss of the year.
Yeah, Whoosh had their full roster there as well. 47ers coming off that loss in the earlier time slots, able to make the comeback. Whoosh just didn't have the same bats as they did the first week. When they won 15-13, they also won 34-3. Didn't just not quite the same bats, and 47ers were able to do a good job of getting the runs when they need to and limiting the offense. Big win there. 47ers getting their first win of the year. They still sit at the bottom of the standings right now at 1-2, but could move up a spot depending on how that Bad News Dingers Pacific Thrashers game finishes out. But overall for these two teams, for Whoosh, I think they'll be all right. I think they have the talent. I think they should be considered the favorite right now. For the 47ers, I think they made a statement for Division 2. They showing. I think I may have mixed up the Pacific Thrashers and 47ers earlier. I apologize if I did. The 47ers, that group of, I believe younger guys, they're starting to put more of a name out there for themselves. Just off to a good start here. You give a guy like Jake Geck off to a very good start pitching wise, especially 8 innings, 1.5 ERA. With 4 Ks, and they're only around 2 runs so far in 8 innings. I'm sure he pitched a lot against the Whoosh with stats like that. So we'll see what happens. So now depending on what happens with Brothers of Bash when they come back, as right now, almost every team in there has at least one win, depending on the result of the Bad News Stingers Pacific Thrashers game. Pacific Thrashers win that, every team will have at least one win.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess we'll just kind of keep an update on what's going on with the Brothers of Bash here week 3. Hopefully they return for their matchups. So I'm not sure what's going on with that side of things, but that's just kind of the storyline that's just there. So I mean, I guess you can have some absences. Maybe they're dealing with some kind of roster thing right now, or some other matters or whatnot. But that's just something we'll keep a close eye out. But the standings look pretty good for Division 2. There's no more undefeated teams unless you count Brothers of Bash in that listing as well.
Which we don't.
Which we don't, yes, because they haven't shown up yet. But I guess we'll just keep an eye on what Division 2 looks like, and keep a track on Whoosh and OC Seal, so are definitely kind of becoming the front run teams in Division 2 right now. Moving on, though, we get our Purple League teams, which is our fun league here, of course. It's the co-ed league for OC Wiffle Ball. We had one team removed from the Purple League, as what it looks like, and then we had a new team enter the playing field, which was the Glizzy Gladiators, run by Joey Ponder. We got a chance to see him doing a little bit of commentating with the iPad out there, a little bit, if you're keeping an eye on that stuff from the OC Wiffle Ball story. But we'll talk about their games a little bit. Obviously, these are games that are played for fun, so it's a little bit difficult for us to kind of pay attention to that, when we're looking at Division 1, Division 2 games at the same time. But we'll give the story as best as possible. At the very first game for the Purple League, we got Wiffle Does, if I'm saying that correctly from last week, taking on the Sheeps, who is Anthony Grusa's fun team. 15-12, your final victory. The Sheeps get their second win.
Yeah, pretty close game there overall. Both teams are putting the bat on the ball. Obviously, very high scoring game. Some good defense out there from both teams as well. Some nice catches out there. Both male and females making catches out there. The Chiefs coming away with their second victory of the year, putting them at the top of that Purple League leaderboard so far. The only undefeated team in that one, putting them 2-0. We'll see what happens in the future with them. They played every team except for the Glizzy Gladiators, so we'll see. I believe they're going to be playing each other this week, which they are. They'll be playing each other right away at 5:45, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we'll just. It's the little fun group over there. They got some of the players that Anthony Grusa have had on their team for a little bit. Nikki Shiver and Kenzie Riding, who we both know pretty well. And then obviously Matt Horn is on that squad too. And then Glizzy Gladiators have a ton of people on their team. Obviously the biggest name on there is Joey Ponder and Kyle Fromm, who were part of the Plastic Pitches teams and were formerly known as Plastic Pitches teams, now MS Warriors and the Purple Huskies teams. They're close friends with the Hoffman brothers, so it looks like they put together a little team to get some fun out there as well. And Joey Ponder gets his chance to do a little bit of commentating. The second game, though, on our little sheet here is the Glizzy Gladiators, who were playing their debut against the Pancake Batters, and they took that win 5-1 on this sheet here, and they get their first victory of the season. Or 6-1. Man, that's a really small ass font. Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah, 6-1, a 6-1 victory here for the Glizzy Gladiators. Pretty low scoring game considering it was the Purple League. Some good defense and some swing and some good plays out there made by each team. That at the end of the day, Glizzy Gladiators, brand new team, were able to go out there, get the victory, be able to find the full stream of games. Either on the Joey Ponder Instagram or on their team's Instagram, but good start to that. Good start for them. Having a few new people come out there and play that have never been in the league before, and then you have some returners such as Kyle Fromm and Joey Ponder. So good start for that. Good start for them. We'll see what happens with this new team in the future.
Yeah, definitely. They've got a game in week 3 coming up pretty here soon, so it looks like their group of guys is pretty well rounded here, and I guess we'll just kind of see what what happens with their squad, which actually we'll get to right now, which is their third game on our sheet for the Purple League, which is the Glizzy Gladiators in their second game taking on Wiffle Does. They do lose this game, so they get their first loss in the first week of debut games here. So 5-2 was the final score against Wiffle Does.
Yeah, another low scoring game here. I wonder if this will be more the trend for the Purple League. Sometimes you get these high scoring games like that 15-12 earlier with the Chiefs and Wiffle Does, but Wiffle Does able to bounce back and get that victory here, getting their first victory of the year, putting them to 1-2. Currently sitting in third place due to run difference to the number of runs they have, and I believe they beat the Pancake Batters as well, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it should be switched. I don't know. Maybe the Pancake Batters should be third and Wiffle Does fourth, but either way, we'll continue to see what happens with both of those teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's just Purple League, so if that's mixed up there between the two teams, then I guess we'll just fix that later on. I guess we'll just kind of see what goes on in the Purple League as things go on here. But if you want to catch a little bit of fun and you want to make a team for next season, try the Purple League. We have a lot of veterans that are playing in that league right now who are just kind of playing for fun, and then obviously they're part of the teams in like Division 1, Division 2 respectively, with a couple of guys in there. So that's just kind of the fun things in there. But that does conclude our Week 2 results here, and I guess we're ready to move on to Week 3 and talk about that when it comes up here in episode 21. It looks like we got everything through here. Next, this coming week, though, is actually Jersey Night, so if you're looking to wear your favorite sports jersey, please come out and wear your favorite sports jersey, whichever you like to wear. Like I said, a lot of sports going on in the world today, so come out and show out a little bit of sports spirit if you're into that kind of thing. And I guess a little bit of a preview this week. We got the LA Wiffles of OC taking on their protege, the OC Wiffles of LA, this week, which would be a pretty interesting game, a Civil War game if you want to call it that way. So here we go, off to Week 3.
Yeah. With that matchup, it's kind of the two teams I divided up. I let Woosh stay together. I mean, the OC Wolves of LA and the Wolves of OC. I kind of split them up accordingly, trying to give each team some strengths to make each one comparable in Division 1. So we'll see how this matchup goes. Both teams coming off of a loss this past week. See how this matchup goes. This is a very big collection of great wiffle players. On the other we'll see you have guys like me and Dustin, and even Greg, who has some experience in pitching fast pitch and things like that, along with guys like Justin and Jordan, who are good players in this league, have played in some other styles as well. And in the other league, you have guys like James Lee, the number 1 overall draft pick in SoCal Wiffle Ball, has been doing some great things over there. Joaquin Jimenez, who is looking to get into SoCal Wiffle Ball next year. And then you also have guys like Ethan Lee is more on the rise. Dominic Caroni managing the team. You have David and Evan showing their prowess as well on the field and on the mound. So we'll see what happens in this game. I mean, this will be a fun one. This will be kind of the match of the week, in my opinion. It'll be the fun one to watch. The 8:45 game will be the last game played before we get back to the Great Park and get the awards announced, so we can get our plaque for the OC Summer Wiffle Classic. And we'll see if guys like me, or probably not Justin, but other guys win any awards.
When that ultimately gets decided and we get to see who won all those. But looks like the trophy case is going to be getting pretty big for you over there.
That's the goal. That's the goal. At some point when I move out here, I want to start hanging stuff on the wall. Right now, I just have stuff set up above me on this shelf above me. Maybe I'll move into a drawer or something. But I want to eventually just start having an area to keep all my stuff, because I plan on winning a lot more, whether it be with OC Wiffle Ball, SoCal Wiffle Ball, other tournaments and things like that. I plan on trying to win a lot over here. So just looking to add more to the collection. whether it be team awards, individual awards. Hopefully, I'll be giving some individual awards. We'll find out soon, though. You think you'll be getting any individual awards, Justin, or no?
Yeah, work in progress. We'll see. Probably gonna be a while.
You started it good. You had your first hit that last week at least.
Hey, it's progress, right? So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, you're now up to you're almost at 100 for your batting average.
So it was me fighting for getting rid of a 180 ERA. Now it's me getting a fight to get out of a less than one average batting average or whatever.
You're almost there. You had a single last week against the Trash Pandas, so you're very close.
All right, here we go. Let's go, guys. But enough about me, anyways. This is really
you're almost there. I mean, right now you do have a negative weighted runs above average right now at a negative 3.5.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yes. The legend of Stephen Hayden, though, is the one we like to keep up with the most here on the show. So obviously that's one of the big things we'll see in week 4 with the awards show. Anyways, I do want to finish this show on a pretty fun note here. Steven, we've been talking about MLW quite a bit on the show, a little bit. We did talk about getting some of those card packs that they were advertising on their Instagram, and I know you're the first one to get yours. I'll probably open mine next week on the next episode. But I see you got the pack. You got the pack there. You want to do a little opening here for the audience and see what we got?
Yeah, I ordered this shirt. This is an MLW shirt here. I got a pair of socks as well, and also got this pack. I just cut off the top right now, so we're gonna see. We can check out what's in this. There are 8 cards in each pack. You just get to see some different players, and I'll try to explain some of it as we go along. Oh, first card. Okay, first card. It's not a special one. It's gonna be a basic one. It's gonna be a Ryan Cratch card.
That's not bad.
The 2022 MLW MVP. This is a picture of him pitching in the minor league stadium last year in their special series versus the Wildcats. Next up, we got another Predator here. We got Alec Ward, the co-captain of the Predators, also captain with Ryan Cratch.
Oh, we got a
big outfielder, big hitter. Had his big World Series moment in 2019.
He's got the water cam.
Which he had a walk-off home run to win the World Series against the Eagles. Then, okay. Here's a little bit of a different one. You have an all-fun game Mark Schultz. Who's not actually a player in the league. It's actually the dad of the guys who run some of the guys who run the league, such as Kyle Schultz and Daniel Schultz. This is when he played in the it was like similar to like the All-Star game, but it was the all-fun game. Was this? We're back to another. The next one is back to another basic card. So it's a Chris Cheatham Gators card.
Cheatham, yeah.
Who was the 2020 Rookie of the Year, undeserved in my opinion, and it was also the 2020 World Series MVP. That one, I'll give that one to him. Pitcher and outfielder, big player for the Gators, who they're struggling.
Yeah.
Next up, you got a guy who didn't really play much last year. Casey Bennett was rookie. Got the rookie card for the downtown Diamondbacks. He wasn't much of a factor on the team last year, but has been more of a player this year, especially as a DH. He's been hitting well for them. Okay. Again, an American League All-Star, the Cy Young winner, Brendan Baranowski.
Oh, nice.
A little bit of a special one there. It's got some info on the back. Hopefully you'll be able to read this. I'm not entirely sure if people will read this. You can pause the video there if you want to. He stepped up this summer as a starting pitcher of the American League All-Star game and was the Cy Young winner for this previous year. Next up, we got another Predator. Another Predator, the number 2 pitcher for the Panthers, Stephen McGlade. He's been pitching a lot for them, especially since their draft pick Jake Longman has not really been there much at all. And then last, we have a guy who's actually no longer on the team. He is on the card. Magic Liam Jackson. He was on the Magic the past few years, but it actually during the offseason of this year. He got traded into the Wildcats, and he's been playing a little bit. He's been playing a bit for them, but not the best pack overall. But I think that Mark Schultz card looks cool.
Yeah.
I didn't get any like the super special cards or anything like that, the ultra rare ones, but a pack's a pack. I also got some socks and a shirt as well. I also got that jacket in the background, which is still showing some. It's actually still got an award on it, but I got a SoCal jacket out there, getting ready to use it and wear it in October.
There you go. Well, I guess I gotta see what kind of cards I get in that pack later on. Let's see, but not pretty good pack. You got Ward in there, which is awesome, and then Crouch does as well. And then you got the Star Power card, so not too bad. Not too bad. Got some pretty good guys in that deck, I think. But yeah,
not too shabby. I think could be better, could be worse.
Yeah, it's like probably in between, which is not bad at all. But yeah, if you want to check that out, MLW's got that on sale on their shop right now. And then obviously all the other goods, like Steven's wearing that shirt with Wiffle God on there too. And speaking of which, if you are looking for the standings for OC Wiffle Ball, go to OC Wiffle Ball or OrangeCountyWiffleBall.com for the standings and all your merchandise stuff as well. MLW obviously has got their stuff as well. But I think that's it for us here today on episode 20. Big one for us, episode number 20 being one of those big achievements, being able to get to number 20, and then obviously the next one will be number 30 when we get there at some point, and then the biggest one will be getting to at least episode 50 or even 100 if we even get there at some day. But yeah, got a pretty exciting week 3 things coming up here just a few days, and we'll see you guys in the next episode 21. If you don't follow the OC Wiffle Ball Instagram, make sure you guys do that as well, including the Hunky Door Sports Show. And hit the subscribe button at the bottom. We knock out these videos about almost every week during the weekends, and try to get them out before the Tuesday games and whatnot, so you guys can keep up to date with everything that's going on in OC Wiffle Ball and all of the stories that we get on here as well. Looking more to get some more guest stars on here on this show at some point, and some other people and familiar faces as well. But as always, we always enjoy having everybody watch these episodes, and we shall see you guys in our next week of things once week 3 is wrapped up here, and we'll see you guys in episode 21 of That Scuffed Up.
Yeah. Last week over at Huntington Beach Sports Park, we're still there for week 3. Then once we talk about more stuff, we'll be back at the Great Park for week 4. So make sure you guys don't travel to the wrong place like Dominic Garoni did the first week. Make sure at Huntington Beach Sports Park. So we'll see you guys out there.
Yeah, and that's it for us here in episode 20. This is Stephen Hayden and Justin Lee signing off for now. We'll see you guys at episode 21 next week.